I've used pumpkin meat on 3 recipes today, so you can use up that can of pumpkin. You make your French toast, you make a cheesecake, you can make this, you can make pumpkin butter. We've got organic pumpkin that I had bought canned. You can roast your own. You can use other squashes such as butternut. I love buttercup squash, but we're using pumpkin because it's October and it's Halloween's coming up. I've got my copper stainless pan here getting warm. We're gonna make the custard for the French toast, 2/3 of a cup of half and half, and we're gonna do about 2/3 of a cup of the pumpkin meat, about 1 tablespoon of dark brown sugar. You can use light if you want, but I like dark because it has more depth of flavor. You got 3 farm-raised eggs, 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, half a tablespoon of vanilla bean paste, and I've got a half a teaspoon of pumpkin spice, which I make. It's basically 4 parts cinnamon, 1 part clove, 1 part allspice, a half a part of nutmeg, and 1 part of ground ginger. And I blend that up with cinnamons and so forth, but I make my own blend. But you can use just cinnamon if you want. We're gonna give this a nice stir. The half and half just gives us a little bit of richness. You can use this with regular white Texas toast style bread, thick sliced. I like to use a challah bread, a brioche. I'm just gonna pour this in here so you can see better what I've got going on. I know I always use unsalted butter, but when I have the opportunity to buy some Amish salted butter, I do. And for French toast, it works perfectly. I got my pan hot. And get that butter nice and melted. And I do 2 tosses with the bread. This will make about 8 pieces. And notice how this is swimming around in that butter. That means it's not going to stick at all. I don't like to dip the bread ahead of time. Now, there's different ways you can make French toast. You could pre-brown these a little bit and put them on a sheet pan. So if you got a big breakfast of 4 to 6 people, they're on small sheet pans. And then you can pop them into a really hot oven. Right now I have it at a medium heat, as you can see. It's not too cold. I want that custard that's soaked into the bread to cook, so that's why I'm not cooking too hot. I've got good bubbles going here. The butter just started brown a little slightly. I like that. The reason why we put the brown sugar in this custard, you could use maple syrup, you could use white sugar, you could use honey, but the reason why we bring sugar to the table is it helps us get a nice caramel color on our French toast. I'm going to take a quick peek here, see how we're looking. Ooh, that's nice. A little bit longer, and I'm going to crank the heat up just a touch because I want that sugar to caramelize in there. Now, when this French toast is done, you can top it with all sorts of things. You can do fresh fruit, you can do toasted pumpkin seeds. I made a little soft butter with pumpkin meat mixed in there with a tablespoon of maple syrup. And that just brings a little bit more pumpkin to the table. See, this is what we're looking for. Looking for some good crispiness on this French toast, you know? I mean, yes, it's supposed to be soft and custardy, but there's also that texture of, you know, having it crispy as well. And we let that go for, you know, another minute or so. My daughter, Zania, I would always cook her a piece of French toast in the mornings before we drove her to school, and this is one of the versions that we did. I always cooked French toast when the kids were born, so every time one of my kids was born, we'd come home from the hospital the same day, and I would make French toast. It's kind of like it was our thing to make. All right, so I'm liking this. I'm gonna get a clean towel, dab this off, get that on our plate, turn our heat off, gonna add a little bit of pumpkin butter. You have to have a drizzle of the Wisconsin maple syrup. And if you want to be fancy, put your powdered sugar in the colander. You just tap on it, and that dresses it up. It just makes it look so nice. And like I said, you can do pumpkin seeds, berries, candied pecans, caramel sauce, but I think you really want to capture and keep the essence of a pumpkin French toast. But you can make this ahead of time. This can be in the refrigerator, ready to go. You wake up in the morning, you heat up your stove, you cook your bacon or sausage, whatever, and you've got your custard already made. You give it a good mix, and then you just go right to it. And like I said, if you got to make 10 to 16 pieces, you just keep browning them like this, put them on sheet pans, and then pop them in a 400-degree oven for like 3 to 4 minutes, and then serve. Pumpkin French toast. It's easy, and we hope you try it. I have to have a second bite because I'm not quite sure. Throw the pan on the fire, throw a hunk of butter in there, make a piece or two of this pumpkin French toast, and that's living. All right, we're here now to make pumpkin cheesecake. So these are my ingredients. I've got 2 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese. I got a cup and a quarter of sugar, a half cup of dark brown sugar. I like the dark brown because I like the flavor. You can use light, you can use just straight sugar if you don't have the brown. It's just not going to give you that dark richness. This is juice of 1 lemon, pumpkin spice with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It's imperative that you have that lemon juice. Then I have 2 cups of organic pumpkin meat or any squash that you roast yourself. Like I said, buttercup would be a great substitute for pumpkin. We get this going, and it's important that the pumpkin meat and the cream cheese is ice cold. I just pulled it out of the refrigerator. You want that so you can get a nice set. Now, while this is mixing, you have to make and bake a graham cracker shell. You bake it in a 350-degree oven and you refrigerate it. So you can see the pan is frosty. This is cold. You want this to hit that pan after it's been baked, after you've chilled the crust. This is a make the day before you want it. If you want to eat it the same day, then maybe 4 hours in the freezer and it'll set up quick. Okay, so now to this, 2 cups of heavy cream, 40%. And we pour that in slowly because we don't want this to splash at us. I got this mixer right now on medium speed. And I just add all that cream in there. If you wanted to add a bourbon or a whiskey or a rum to this, you can. Just replace the heavy cream with the liqueur. I'm thinking 2 ounces, no more than 4. Okay, now I got all the cream in. It's basically mixed in. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna beat this mixture. And what's happening is that lemon juice and the cream cheese are starting to emulsify, and that whipping cream that's in there, because there's 2 cups in there, that's going to start thickening and becoming light and fluffy. And this is how I made the cheesecake at the restaurant. The story behind this one, the girls wanted cheesecake one night, and I told them, well, we had to bake it, they had to cool it, was gonna take at least a day, and all 3 of them had frowns on their face. So I came with this no-bake cheesecake recipe that I could make the same day and eat it, and I really loved it. It's more like a Sicilian type of cheesecake where it's light and airy and moussey, but it still has a lot of great flavor. So as you can see, the texture of this has changed a little bit. You can see how it's creating ribbons that are holding. That means the heavy cream is whipped up. Now, you can overmix this, so you don't want to. But when it sits up like this, you know you've gotten to the point where you need to go. We'll put this into our pre-baked refrigerated crust. And I love my cheesecakes, especially when they're light and airy and moussey like this. I like them thick. And I'm going to show you why. I get everything in there. Now, you can decorate this with marshmallows, chocolate chips, caramel sauce, toasted pumpkin seeds, chopped up candied pecans, but you want to put plastic on this to keep any of the smells in your refrigerator, because this has eggs, it's light, it's airy, it's fluffy, it's whipped like the wind, and it'll take on any of those other scents in your refrigerator that you don't want. Now, like I said, I made this one this afternoon, and if you find that it's not stiff enough for you, you can dissolve 1 ounce of gelatin and add it when you add the heavy cream at the end. And that'll give you a mousse that'll hold up to warming up. And if you want, you can sprinkle the top with a little bit of the pumpkin spice. And that's the pumpkin cheesecake, pumpkin chai latte. So I brewed some chai tea earlier, let it sit at room temperature. I've got whole milk. You can use skim, I guess, if you want. You'll get a better froth though with whole milk. This is a half a teaspoon measure, so we're looking at a quarter teaspoon of pumpkin spice, and we're going to use 1 tablespoon of pumpkin meat, and we're going to use 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Get this on our blender. We filled the cup halfway with milk, which was about 8 ounces, and it'll double in volume. We fill these 2/3 of the way, and whatever chai serves you best. And that is your chai latte, pumpkin latte. I'm sorry, I have to try it, don't I? Just so you can all trust me. Chai tea is perfect. Now I mix that pumpkin and sugar, spices in there. What a cool, refreshing drink. This would be really good finished with at least 4 ounces of Prosecco to give it some sparkle. That's what I'm saying. This is a delicious, refreshing, good for you drink. I've used pumpkin meat on 3 recipes today, so you can use up that can of pumpkin. Pumpkin is really a tasty vegetable and it's inexpensive. It's something that we should eat more of instead of just Thanksgiving.